Yeah, I'm still here, bro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming live from the Oppenheimer Ranch Studios, we have Jon Keen, an enigma. Now, we've talked about Jon probably a year ago, and he is responsible for the best damn podcast ever on YouTube. And I think that's what you've chosen for your name, Jon. Is that the truth? Are you a truthful person? Can we trust you, Jon? I love you, Jon, by the way.
I think so. I think so. I love you too, man. I'm a really big fan of your work, your channel. It's amazing information, groundbreaking information. A place where I go to get a lot of good info on what's actually going on with all the different scams they have surrounding climate and but yes, I am truthful. I try to be very honest and open with everything. And the channel is called The Best Damn Podcast. The Best Damn Podcast. And it's really just because I didn't want to put a label that would restrict me from talking about whatever I want to. So, I just made it simple.
So let's talk about the best damn podcast ever. Now, I first was introduced to you, I think, through Ransom Godwin, who's from 420 Freedomist Films. I believe that's how he introduced me to your channel. But you've been around for at least a year and a half, and I've been watching you the whole time. You went from like no subscribers to just a couple, and you were doing some dumb podcasts about whatever you wanted. And then eventually, and like I went back like 6 months later, and I'm like, holy, the Best Damn Podcast is at 10,000 subs. What the hell are they talking about? What are you talking about, bro?
Okay, well, I do want to give some credit to just having some loyal subscribers to that. That's why that happened. I've been around probably 3 or 4 years. I started on internet radio podcasting. I got about 100,000 downloads on that, so I've done well there. And then I had a YouTube channel. I got about 1,000 subscribers a couple years back and was deleted twice. So this recent incarnation of the Best Damn Podcast is about a year and a half old or whatever. Stuck around really low for a minute and then kind of, exploded. But what we talk about on my channel is we discuss magnetic reversal quite a bit. We dive deeply into politics, spirituality, and just to be all the way honest with you, every part of society is being presented to the masses in a very misleading way, right? We are given the truth with a lie in every facet. It's our science, it's our history, it's our theology, it's everything. And I'm a person, I like to call myself a jack of all trades, but a master of none. During my own seeking, my own search, I started to see that shit wasn't right. Like things were really off. And once I found one lie, it would lead me to another, and then I can remember, driving home from work one day and how it all just came crashing down on me that everything we had been taught was a lie. And I mean, it was so intense, so heavy that it just knocked the sparks out of my ass. And the first thought that came into my head was, nobody else knows, right? Nobody else knows. Because I was just like all those people. I had no clue of any of these things. I believed that if something really bad was coming, the government would tell us it was coming. That if something really bad happened, the government would take care of us, right? I believed that the different religions were really different and not all different forms of Saturn worship. I believed that, there was a difference in classes and things like this, and That's what I'm saying. The reason it's the best damn podcast is because it allows me to dive into politics, history, religion, all of that. It doesn't keep me trapped in a box. And you know, Diamond, I mean, everything is connected. So when you find one truth, it leads you right next to another truth. And it's a never ending journey. You know, the quest for knowledge. It's a different type of knowledge too, not the useless information knowledge, but what I like to call gnosis. You know, spiritual knowledge. And excuse me, my nose is stuffed up. I got a sinus infection. So I hope that answered your question, bro. Kinda.
Yeah, it does.
I think.
But I'm trying to recall your channel here so that the people can see the best damn podcast ever. Now, what I want
Just
to
the best
back
damn
to
podcast.
is some simple stuff. And I'm trying to get to it here on my in the screen here. I don't even think it's going to upload. I don't even know what's happening here. But the best damn podcast ever.
You had me on there a minute ago.
Here we are at your Patreon.
There we go.
Best damn
That's
podcast love ever, $5. Best damn podcast thank you tier, $1. $10 tier, 10 a month. I mean, we're talking about a couple dollars a month. Won't affect your bank account, won't affect your bottom line, and will affect your peace of mind. Because what we're uncovering
I love you, bro. You're so funny.
Yeah. What we're uncovering is the facts of the past, right? The people are paying us to give them information that they can't get from the mainstream, which is the lamestream.
That's right.
Because they want to block us everywhere we can.
That's right. And there's a war. There's a war on alternative media and independent thinkers. There is a war on, a free mind. And, you know, if you look at like biblically, right, the truth will set you free. That is no bullshit, guys. And that's why there is a war on truth and a war on information, a war on free thinkers, a war on independent media, because you lose the power of fear and guilt and shame and all of these tactics that are being employed or deployed against the masses as forms of control, right? Even if you take it to like a deeper level where people are being traumatized to create fractures in their psyche for mind control. If you have that peace of mind and understanding of the truth, man, there's nothing that can shake you. Nothing that can shake you. Nothing that can be used to put a leash around your neck like the masses so willingly accept.
Well, let's talk about some of the bullshit. Let's talk about some of the surface problems. Let's talk about the top three.
Okay.
Let's talk about the top three surface problems from humanity. Okay? Because they're misinforming the masses, dude. And you know that. So if you're the best damn podcast, let's talk about my top three. The first one, climate change. What is your take on climate change? Because the masses are claiming that we're burning up and that it's your fault and it's CO2 and all the bullshit narrative. And the mainstream is claiming through bad science that CO2 is causing warming on the planet. When, as a geologist, I know that during the Cambrian explosion at 540 million years ago, when CO2 was at 6,000 parts per million, we were exploding in life. So that's 17 times the current level. So what do you think that these people are trying to portray when they try to scare us into paying carbon taxes for a CO2 environment that has been higher for our entire... For 500 million years, CO2 has been higher than now. So what I'm saying is that the government is lying to you. And what do you say about these carbon taxes?
I believe that they're trying to finish up capturing the life cycle. That's what carbon and all this war on carbon is actually about. If you look at what the true agenda of a one world system and what that actually means. Okay, it's a very good premise and it's a good idea if we don't have psychopaths in charge of it, right? We should be coming together with one government. I mean, truthfully, it really is the most logical solution to our problems that we face. But when you have lunatics in charge, then you can't really do it that way, right? So they are taxing carbon and a war on carbon, but what it is actually doing is that's how our plants breathe, which in turn, produces oxygen for us to breathe. And if they can control things, which they are, right? They pollute the water, so they have the only clean water for you to drink, right? They pollute the air, so they have the only clean air for you to drink. And it goes on beyond this, just owning the life cycle, right? It was a plan that was slowly implemented, little by little. You have seen the different banking, or the big banks, central banks, banking organizations, how they have capitalized by controlling all of the currencies.
Yo,
and have
John,
them, use that to manipulate every country. Yes.
Yeah, it's Queen Elizabeth. That bitch started this whole shit back in the early 80s. She appropriated $2 billion to climate science, and then it was the rip. It went off from there. Yeah. And now we have all these insane consensus bullshit scientists. We have the whole incorporation of climate science into actual Scientology into our universities. Now, I want to get very clear here to the masses before we talk about your channel here. And if you want to come over and subscribe to the Best Damn Podcast on YouTube, well, there's only one place to do it, and that's the Best Damn Podcast ever on YouTube here. 10.4K subscribers. We're going to get this to 11,000 in the morning because John's on the air now, and we're going to talk about some facts. And John, one of the first things I want to say is that your channel, your cover screens to your videos are awesome because they draw us into what you're saying. And you have a lot of the depictions of Guy Fawkes, the Guy Fawkes mask. And Guy Fawkes really sparked the Occupy initiative across America. And that was back in 2011, 2012. Yeah. And we haven't heard anything about it. So what are your thoughts on the Occupy movement?
I think that was probably something that was, you see a lot of grassroots movements that they start off organically and are being then hijacked at some point, either in their infancy.
You're a genius!
Well, that's just what I think. I don't know about that, bro. I mean, I'm just try to pay attention, and I think that I get things wrong, and you know how it is. Like when we get things wrong, we admit it, right? We admit it. We admit where we mess up, and I think that a lot of our content,
Yo,
our
John,
ideas is a process of sharing.
I just did a dab.
Yes,
huge one, and I want you to know that there is almost no one in the world that is willing to say that they were wrong. So kudos to you, because I want you to start off where you just left off.
I know that.
Because many people do not understand it's okay to be wrong. And that's the whole point of this channel. It's okay if you're wrong. And listen, I'm the best case scenario for this idea. Look, in 1989, I came into university. By 1993, I was offered a full scholarship to graduate school. So I took it. And then when I went into graduate school, by 1995, I realized that the scientific community was now full bore on global warming. And the theory I was researching was about global cooling. It was about natural climate variability and the fact that the sun controlled the climate. And I got a pushback, and people didn't want to hear about it. You know why? Because Margaret Thatcher had already
What's that?
She had already given like $2 billion to climate change. So we needed global warming to be happening in order for this money to be paid out. So people were looking in the early 90s to get that money from that Margaret Thatcher bullshit. And look at where we are 2 decades later. Climate science has been ruined because climate science has been indoctrinated as a new science. It has nothing to do with paleoclimatology and geology anymore. It's about mathematical models, and these people think that they know what's happening, but they don't use all the data from the past, and they project the future. And guess what? Hey, John, if you didn't know, every single one of the IPCC models and all the alarmist models have been up to 500% incorrect. So what do you think is happening with science? Yeah, 500% incorrect.
With science, I think that they give us ass backwards science to keep us from ever, figuring out how the true nature of reality, the true nature of our existence. And, if you look at like science, science is man's attempt to explain the supernatural, right? To explain the creation. And if you basically only fund those that are willing to research and expound lies to the masses, and you defund and discredit anyone that's actually producing the truth or doing any real groundbreaking research, then you've got a very big predicament right there. That's a big problem. That means that you're paying for lies, you're paying for disinformation, and you're silencing what's valid, what's true, what's real. So now you're teaching this to also these kids in university, and you're not just doing it with science to them. You're doing it with history. You're doing it with mathematics. You're doing it with every possible angle you can work on people. That way they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground by the time the system is finished with them, right? They have literally it's true, man. It's true. And look, here's the thing. I shouldn't be able to correct a so-called physicist. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be able to. I mean, I guess you should. You have got a lot of degrees and put a long time in school, working really hard. But even when we was talking off air, you was talking about how your peers would be coming to different conclusions than you did, right? We have glorified that certificate they give you for that degree that you have, so much so because it represents status and all of that, that we have stopped glorifying the whole reason we pursued that certificate in the first place, and that was for knowledge, for truth, for wisdom, right? And we no longer reward intelligence. We no longer reward these kind of things in society, right? So it's not cool to be smart. What's cool is to mumble when you talk, to have no respect for yourself or anyone around you, and to just blindly accept everything you're told. And people are so afraid of death. They're so afraid of reality. They're so afraid of being on their own. They have become titty babies to the system, right? And they can't break off of it, man. They're afraid they just won't survive. So people like you and myself, we scare them, man. We represent change. We represent, and just think about this, like you get a circus elephant, right? They're tied to a stake, man, a really heavy stake when they're a baby, around their ankle. And they know if they go to take off, man, that chain locks up and they can't go nowhere, right? They can't pull it. They can't do anything. Well, as the elephant gets older, all of a sudden they take that old concrete block and big stick chain. They replace it with a little rope with a stick, and they stab it in the ground. And the elephant, still convinced that it has this big, strong chain keeping it from escaping, don't even try. Don't even try to free itself anymore, even though if it took one step past the boundary, it could break it with no problem, because it's just now a thin rope on a wooden stake. And that's how society is, right? They start you off in school. They indoctrinate you into lies. They reinforce those lies because your grandparents, your parents, your great-grandparents, guess what? They're full of shit too, not intentionally, but because they've been misled too. They've been indoctrinated too. They've been lied to. And it's a hard place to come to when you say, okay, all the things I believed in for religion are false. All the things I thought were true of history are false, right? All of my understanding of, the universe and science and mathematics are false, right? And the people I loved and trusted and respected and learned how to be an adult from, like my parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, everything that came from them was false too, right? That takes a special kind of person, a special kind of resolve and humility to be able to say, I've been had, I've been duped, and that's the only. But until you can come to that moment and stop looking at yourself, stop elevating yourself in your own mind with your ego to putting yourself on a pedestal. In a place of where you can never be wrong, until you stop doing that, right, and humble yourself and admit that the human condition is imperfect and that we all make mistakes. We all can be fooled by deception, especially really good deception that has been weaponized against the masses, like we've seen happen here. Until you can humble yourself and admit that you make mistakes, you come up short, you have no hope for the truth. And all those who are actually seeking the truth will find it. That's the thing, though. It's, are you actively seeking the truth? Are you truly seeking the truth? Do you have your heart open? Do you have your mind open to new possibilities? And you cannot learn the truth in these these new ideas and these new concepts that are completely alien to you because of how much lying and indoctrination you've been through. You can't learn these things until you admit you don't know shit and you empty your cup, and once we can do that, once that cup is empty, we can then start taking on new things and fill it back up. And once we admit we don't know shit, we can actually start at ground level and start building, and start to know something. So, it's kind of a really long. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let me break in and let's talk about your rebirth, because you and I have the same path.
Okay.
And like the rest of the world here, that's listening, they've come from the same path that we have. So, like, our whole lives, we've been lied to, right? So, at some point, our head has to pop out of our ass. And it takes an individual moment for that to occur. And many of us takes years. Now, listen to my story. It's sick. Yeah. Because I was back in university in 89, and through the 90s, I got my graduate degree. So I'm studying climatology and paleontology stratigraphy as a geologist. And all the work I'm doing is showing that climate is natural, it's variable, it goes up and down, and we're headed into an ice age like 2050 to 2150 is the shift, which is now when we're living. So from 2020 to 2100, we should be cooling off and going into an ice age based on the data that we have for the last 400,000 years. through Vostok and the Greenland ice cores. And then this cabal comes in, the global warming cabal that used to be the global warming cabal and the global cooling cabal and the global warming cabal and the global cooling cabal, because these people have been controlling the narrative to simply make you pay your taxes, comply, go to work, do your 40-hour week and your slavery model, which allows you to live till you're 65, where you can retire and get your little piece of shit from Social Security and take a vacation where you have your heart attack somewhere in the islands. So this is the whole plan for humanity. We are indentured servants for our entire lives until we die. But guess what? We now have the internet. We have now information flow, and we have pissed off geologists like Diamond that are willing to bring on Jon onto his podcast to talk about the truth and how this information has been suppressed. The Best Damn Podcast Ever had barely 1,000 subscribers a year ago. It's up to 10,000, going to 1 million, because Jon has no preconceived notions of what the facts he's about to unravel are, just like we are. As the facts come in, we will adjust the model and we will report them to you as they come in. Right. We do not want to defy you. We're not here. We're not funded by any entity. We don't give a shit about what anyone thinks about us. But what we want to tell you is that we have been working for years and years on understanding the lie that is before your very face. And I applaud his work over here at the Best Damn Podcast. And you should subscribe, because we have over a year ago, and many others. He's up to 10,000 subscribers. We're going to get this to over 11,000 in the next 24 hours. And not only that, we're going to come on your show and we're going to talk about multiple topics, aren't we, Jon?
Yes, we was going to discuss spirituality versus religion. And I mean, Diamond, I'm telling you, the last time I've talked to somebody on the phone as long as we talked, I mean, I was probably 16 and, some girl I was up on the phone with, all night or something. Like, we had a very, very interesting conversation, and we come from a very similar background and have experienced a lot of the same hurdles in life and challenges that we've had to face and overcome, which I think is a testament to just, that we are both real people, real human beings, right? This stuff is available for all of us, right? Each and every one of us. It could just as easily be you that's, watching this right now, as it is me that comes to one of these conclusions or finds one of these, amazing truths, because all it really takes is someone to have an open heart, to be seeking this truth, right? And an open mind, willing to accept whatever the truth may be, right? We can't have those preconceived notions, because then when it doesn't fit with our preconceived notions, we want to throw it out, whether it's true or not, right? Or if it's something that upsets us, then we don't want to look at it anymore. We have to really, really change our thought process as far as that goes, and be incredibly intentional about all of our learning, and Diamond, I can't wait till when you come on, spirituality, religion. I mean, this messed up prison system. I mean, how many different things, have we discussed that we should really come together and collaborate on? And I'll tell you what, Diamond's been so cool to me that, we've even discussed, doing something, coming to see that area and, filming that way too. So, I mean, just amazing things, man. I appreciate just how kind and welcoming you've been, Diamond. And how, you were super easy to talk to, man, as far as you're really a personable person. And I reached out to Diamond on Facebook, I mean, he responded. That lets you know right there that somebody cares. Diamond and myself, we both spend, what, 10, 16, 12 hours a day doing this and love every second of it. Love every second of it. Love every second of learning, of connecting with people, of sharing the truth, of sharing the message, and I think that, Diamond, you're just a genuine, authentic person, and I really am appreciative of just how, gracious and hospitable you've been towards me. I can't wait to, for us to do it on my channel and, your channel, and I can't wait to meet you in person. I mean, it's just so much cool stuff that is on the horizon, and I think that people's going to be really, really satisfied with the finished product when we really start unloading some of these truths.
Yeah, we gotta unload the truths like a train wreck right on their heads. That's my whole purpose, to unload the truth like a train wreck on their heads. And our plan is to get Jon down here into Colorado. He's never been west of the divide. The West is the best. Let's get him down here. He's going to see some mountains and mountain snow and realize what it is like to homestead. And the moment you get into the region where I'm at, you can start to pick up what the future looks like, because it's never changed here. Since 1909, the people have been living the same way, self-sufficient, self-reliant, because like I shared with you on our dead-end road, last year there was a landslide. And then the powers that be, quote unquote, came down like 2 days later. They were clearing the road and they were like, "Are you okay?" Yeah. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And they were like, "Well, you guys were stuck in here for like 2 days." And we're like, oh, okay. Good on you. I was not even planning on coming to town anyway, because there's 4 feet of snow on the ground, you pricks. But the powers that be don't know the powers that humanity have, bro. And the most important weapon to a corrupt system that we live in is an informed public. And that's our purpose here, to inform the public about the corruption of the system that they live in. And while they agree to monetize both you and I on our channels as we expose the corruption that they're involved in, it makes it even more amazing. It's like an amazing time where we as independent reporters can come together and we can use the system to expose the system. How do you feel about that?
It's crazy. I think it is crazy. And you know what? I think this is the most amazing, exciting time to be alive. And I'm telling you, you can see why, there's biblical references to just being blessed to even be in this time. This is, I believe we're at the end of the age, and that doesn't mean end of the world. That means end of an age, and we are going into an age of enlightenment and all this. So, but before we do that, we are seeing, the system tighten its grip, right? Censorship, demonetizing, deplatforming, shadow banning. And I mean, I could go on and on about how I just got off a suspension on Facebook. I was just banned on Reddit yesterday. In the conspiracy channel, I was banned. I'm muted on Twitter. I'm serious. It's like I'm not like sitting.
How do you get banned from the conspiracy channel?
Because my conspiracies aren't just theories; they're real, and that's the problem, right? It sticks out, man. It sticks out like a sore thumb. People recognize real when they hear it and they see it, because guess what? The truth is written on your hearts. So every time you hear that truth, right, it resonates with you. You recognize it. You recognize the spirit that's in me because it's the same spirit that's in you. You recognize the spirit that's in our work because it's the same. It's that spirit of truth, man. And we vibe with it. We're built that way. Humans are not what the news paints us to be, right? They want you to think that, they show you murders and all this terrible, terrible things on the news to try to convince you psychologically that we're all bad. You can't trust nobody. You should keep your distance and you should be scared, scared, scared. Hand over all of your rights, your liberties, and allow Big Brother to protect you. But the truth of it truly is that humans are inherently good. We're a loving species, and one that, we don't gravitate towards war and harming one another. That's propaganda, which was repealed, the Smith-Mundt Act, under the Obama administration, making propaganda legal again. And people also don't understand that, it's not against the rules. It's not against the rules to weaponize the news against you now. It's not against the rules to pump out disinformation. It's not against the rules to, put the cables on you and get you to send your son or daughter into a war to die for this country. So we have allowed our liberties to disappear. We have allowed all these things to happen because we grow complacent here in America, because our bellies are always full. We always have roofs over our head. And the ones that don't, we just don't care about them. Right, the ones who are homeless, we don't care about them. The ones who are struggling, we just step over them as we're going to indulge ourselves. So we're in a unique time, but things are being very. It's happening fast. It's a quickening, right? A separation. You call it the wheat from the tares, or whatever you want to call it, right? This is a quickening, and we're seeing a line has been drawn in the sand. Yes. I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it 100%. You're one of the best interviews I've had in a long time because you and I speak the truth. Let's talk about the quickening. The quickening is happening now. The disregard for homeless people as we walk over them in the inner cities is proof positive of the fact of the degradation of humanity. How dare you walk over the same people that you are and pretend that they are not struggling because you are perfect or whatever you think you are. That is the egomaniac run wild. And trust me, I was there. And every single dollar that I make, I now know that I have to give it back to the people that need it the most, because that is the only way that I feel redeemed. And redemption is a religious word that has been bastardized, which should be a human word that should be capitalized. Capitalism has been destroyed because the word redemption simply means give everything you can until it hurts. Because the human condition is based on simple principles. We need to breathe. We need to eat. We need to love. We need to sleep. And there's very little else we need. And we are depriving many people in our culture of those simple rights. And simply because they're have-nots. They don't have a job. They haven't slaved away their life to provide the money, a.k.a. the capital, to provide those rights. But before capitalism and before the destruction of society, humanity lived on a natural course where nature was the number one provider. It provided all food. It provided all life. It provided all sanity. And the sanity comes from Shinrin-yoku, which is called forest bathing. If you do not walk in the forest, if you do not walk with the earth, if you have not been barefoot and walked on the planet, you do not know the planet you live on. So that you're a flat earther. You're a retard. You live in an inner city that you have been polluted with chemicals, and you're now androgynous and triple sexual or whatever you claim you are. This is a disease that has been perpetrated by the globalists that want you to comply. They want you to plug into the microchip into your brain. You're going to be conceptualized and compartmentalized into their program where they can monitor every fart and squirt and everything. Single atom of your body that will go in and out will be taxed and schmaxed and faxed up to your schlax Rate up your Best Damn Podcast. Hey, John, it's been a pleasure, and I'm sure I blew your mind.
Yes.
But we're going to do this again. We're like 30, 40 minutes in, and I'm sure you've blown the people's minds. Now here, all we want people to do is to relax and breathe, right? Because they have to reset. Can you imagine if you're 50 years old now and you're starting to listen to what we say and you're like, oh my God, what if everything they're saying is true? It makes sense. You have to literally change everything. It's amazing.
Yes, you do. You got to change it all, man. And I do feel really bad for people that are 50, 60, 70 years old, and they're coming to these conclusions because, I mean, how hard is that, when you put all of your value, and that's why we don't put our value in the things of this world. Guess what? None of us make it out of here alive. None of us. We all die. You can't take any of this stuff with you. So to buy into social status and wealth and all this as the end all be all of what puts the value on your humanity is foolish, right? And when you put your value, your self-value, your self-worth, right? When you put that in how much money you have, how many things you've accumulated, how smart you think you are because of what school or university or institution you went to, all of these things. That's right, bro. That's right. Because, this world will pass away. All things in it will pass away. It's all temporary, no matter how you want to look at it, man. We die one day, every last one of us. And the one thing you're going to regret, man, I think more than anything, is if you die without, living true to who you are. You can't be true to who you are. You can't. You just can't do it, man. If,
I know, John.
You're still buying into,
The one thing I've ever done that truly made me human, that truly made me feel like a man, let's say, and I'm not discounting feminism because I love all women and they're equal to all men. But when I came out of my hole, so to speak, and I know this is difficult for you and I to talk about, but the truth is difficult to discuss. But when I realized I was a man was the moment I confronted my father. And he was one of the abusers in my life. And we discussed what he had done, and I didn't agree with it, and we ended amicably. And I don't speak to my father anymore. For some people, it's darker than others. There are things we have to change. But what you and I are trying to get to is the truth. Now, and the problem is that all humanity is damaged. Do you know that 1/4 of the population has been raped by their own family? I mean, it's that sick. And I can completely appreciate the fact that why you've been alone for a couple years, because there are many people in our situation that, like for me, I stayed alone for 3 years until I was able to understand who I was and what I had done. We're all horrible people. Humans are horrible creatures. We have done horrible things. But guess what? The moment we realize that we're a people and that we break out of this society, and the poison has been polluted us, we're free. We're free, and we feel this, the tingling, and you get the goosebumps, and you and I are in the same place. And John, I could lock you in a box and ship you to Singapore, and you would still be as free as you are today. And this is a truth that we need to give to these people. We need to teach them that at one time, when I was completely in a room of 10,000 people at a party, I was completely alone. But today, when I'm sitting in the darkest recesses of my barn in the middle of the wilderness, I feel completely surrounded by love and humans and everyone. I'm completely separated from everyone, but I can feel the love of all humanity right here, right now. And this is the first time ever that I felt free to be me.
Yes, man. No, it's an amazing journey, and I'm just like you. I've rebelled against the system in a lot of ways, but I've never had this feeling of freedom that I do now. I literally I don't. You stop caring what other people think. You stop caring about what the consequences are. You stop fearing anything that may have held you from, held you back in the past. And even a lot of people go through what's called a dark night of the soul, where they literally they lose everything that was connected to their old perception of reality. Relationships, jobs. Everything, right? This emotional outpouring, this purging of the old you, man. And I'm telling you what, brother, to sit and speak the truth today, and share it with other people, and to know that people are truly they're snapping out of it. They're coming around. They're seeking. There's a freedom in that I can't even express. And, without this, I would have never met you. I would have never met so many beautiful people, just wonderful people. So I consider myself, very, very, very blessed. Very blessed. And I appreciate, you, Diamond, and all the people you help. I mean, you've helped me on my journey, and that's what I think it's all about. We all have a little piece to offer. We all have our own truth. We all are a piece of the Creator, and that makes us all valuable. So your pieces have fit nicely with my puzzle, Diamond, and hopefully, some of the pieces that I've shared have helped other people out there. So I appreciate you, bro.
Jon, you're a legend among legends. Look. You came from nothing. You became something. People are listening. And more importantly, I mean, you and I have healed each other, right? And just from our conversation tonight.
Yes.
Now, look, if you're listening tonight, Jon and I haven't stopped talking for the last 7 hours. And that is not even a lie.
I know.
It's now 5 a.m.
We stayed up all night.
And we'll continue to do it. And it's a pleasure. And you know why? It's because all of the hurt and all the pain that we've delivered to other people in our lives, we're now paying it forward. And I don't want to say that, look, I'm more of an asshole than anyone else was, or I've done horrible things, or Jon has. It's all equidistant. You know what I mean? But if we were to take a podcast and just talk about what I've done in the last 30 years, you wouldn't believe the stories. And I'm sure Jon has the same stories to share. But tonight we're sharing one thing. And it's a unique thing that's happening spontaneously, universally. And it's people healing. And they're healing because they're dealing with their demons. We're putting the things that were in our closet. We will not shut the past on that. We want to learn from them. And that's what's the beauty of it. And in the times, and Jon even shared this with me, like Jon and I are both completely alone. We're sitting in a place where there's no other humans. There are no people to influence us. And we're completely fine with that. We would also be fine if there were thousands of people around us. And that's because for the first time in our lives, we're okay with who we are. And for many of you, that's not where you are. You're in contempt. You're holding all of the dangerous secrets that are in your closet, and you need to release them, man. You need to get rid of those skeletons. And you can do it with spiritual guidance. You can do it with John and I. Email us, and we will talk to you, and we'll just get rid of them. And boom, and it'll be gone. Because I've been working with many people in recovery. If you're trying to get sober or clean or whatever it is, the word you want to use, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're trapped. You have no one to relate to. Guess what? I thought I was trapped for 18 years. I couldn't stop drinking alcohol. I couldn't stop snorting cocaine. I couldn't stop doing any of that shit. I smoked more crack than anyone could ever fucking possibly purchase. Trust me. And don't even question.
You're willing to admit that though today. Like,
don't even question on it.
Been through, you wouldn't have a testimony.
God, listen.
Yeah, but I just think it speaks to how authentic you are, though, Diamond. Look, man, people give testimonies, but you got to remember that they had to go through a test to have that testimony, like for real. And I'm really grateful, man. I know it's been hard for you at certain times. The way you've been tested, and dude, same here. I've been tested crazy, and I mean crazy things in life from day one till now. And I don't think the test ever ends. It's a constant test, right? To keep growing, to keep pushing us upward and onward. And I think your story is very, very inspiring, Diamond. And I don't watch very many people at all on YouTube. I don't like YouTubers, as a matter of fact. I think there's so much lies and garbage and bullshit, right? But you're one of the few that I do watch. And I was really nervous that when we finally started talking and that you wouldn't be authentic. I thought, man, is this guy is he pretending to be real? Is he pretending to be truthful? And no, it's not an act. And that, I think that you know when somebody's being real. And I've always felt that you were a real person that had a real passion for what you're doing. And then actually talking to you and having that confirmed, and hearing that path. I tell you what, Diamond is the kind of person too that's so forward and blunt. He literally will ask you, what are your motivations? Are you trying to be motivated to give people the truth or by money? What motivates you? He wants to know, what pushes you. So I think that's, those kind of things let me know that you're in it for all the right reasons, man. And I just respect the hell out of that. So
I'm really glad you brought that up, man. No one has ever brought that up, because every single human I interview, I will never, ever let them on air for the wrong reasons. And I'm all teared up here too, bro. And it's crazy because all people have to do is let go. And what I've learned in my entire life is just let it go, man. And the one thing you need to do is to tell someone about all the things you need to let go. That's it. And because I'm in recovery for 10 years, I know about alcoholism. I also know that almost 100% of all the people I've ever known are dead because they're heroin addicts, and they're all dead. So all of my friends are dead, and here we are, and we're still being strong, and we're trying to be real. And no one has ever pointed out what you just said, bro, and I respect that, because the fact is,
thank you, man,
that if you do not find out where people are coming from, you don't know where they're coming from, which is why I do that almost to all my guests. and they're not heroin addicts. They're not in recovery. These are scientists and shit, and I'm still telling them, tell me what your motive is. Because I don't want to sell your books if you have money. I don't want to make you more money. I want to get more facts out to people. It's awesome, dude. You're my brother from another mother.
I know, man. We're twinning right now. We're twinning. Diamond's even trying to get me to get a mohawk like him. Right? Maybe that's what I'm gonna do when I come down there. We're gonna get matching mohawks. Maybe I can talk you into getting some tattoos that like me. We'll look like brothers. What do you think, bro? Pretty good idea, or no?
Well, when I was 34, listen, I spent 10 years. I knew I was going to get a tattoo. So I spent 10 years drawing up my tattoo. It had Zeus and every other fucking historical whatever. And I went up to the tattoo artist. All right, I'm 34. I go up to the tattoo artist. I show him my work. This is what I want done. And he's like, are you serious? Do you know how long this will take? Do you know how much blood you're going to lose? He's like, this is going to be like 180,000 fucking hours of constant 18 needles in your body for like 14 days. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I set upon,
that's right.
Yeah, for 11 days, I got tattooed. And that's what's on my back. I got one bad tattoo when I was 17, and they covered that up with a $8,000 tattoo that took 17 days.
Wow. 17 days.
Yeah, and I bled like a fish.
Did you heal any in between that time?
What do you mean?
Wow.
A lot of vitamin A and E cream. I was an alcoholic, so can you imagine how the fucking bleed was?
Oh, you were getting tanked while you were doing it? No.
Yeah, I would drink like a half.
Yeah,
I would drink like
pouring blood.
Listen, before each session, I would drink like a fifth of vodka plus a half of vodka when I got there. So like a fifth and a half of vodka before I got there. And he would only do 3.5 hours worth of needle because there was so much blood on the ground.
Wow. That's pretty intense, man. I've never drank a whole bunch of alcohol and got a tattoo, but I have gotten really stoned and passed out during a tattoo. So that's about it. I was younger, when I pretty rowdy back then. And
did you ever have 3 hours of like 18 needle magnums?
Yeah, I've had some hours, 3 or 4 hour tattoo sessions where you get drilled on so long you just stop feeling. You're so sore every time they rub you with their glove and their cloth, whatever they're using. You're so sore, but at the same time you just become numb from them drilling you so damn long. It's crazy. It's really crazy. I've never drank a bunch of alcohol and did it. I think I wouldn't try that at home, right? You should put like a disclaimer in today's show.
All right,
not try this at home.
John, before we close up tonight, the best damn podcast ever is on YouTube at the best damn podcast. 10,400 subscribers. We're going to get that to 12,000 by the end of the weekend. Trust me. And I really appreciate you coming on and being as honest as you are. And really, we didn't script this. We just went with it. It was a great night. Where do you want to go with your show? And why should people subscribe?
Okay. Where do I want to go with my show? I want to grow. I want to grow because I want to create a place where people can find pertinent information, real information, unfiltered information about history, about spirituality, about science, and a place that is a community, and create a community for like-minded thinkers, for like-minded people to come together and to share ideas and to find truth and to learn how to spiritually discern and to learn how to critically think, most importantly, as they question everything and find the truth that's within themselves. I am really, really pushing right now to get help or a donation of a .com. Somebody to donate a .com or domain, whatever. We're trying to build a .com, that way we can run all the social medias and everything to it. I have Discord groups and Facebook groups, and that is all part of us trying to attempt to build a community. And I put out weekly, man, the call for help for people to join the fight with me. If you want to be a researcher, or you have a channel and you want, all these different things. I offer every opportunity. I need admins, moderators. I just want to grow and create a movement of people that are actually out there thinking and that are trying to do something about it, as far as taking personal responsibility, being accountable for their decisions,
Holy shit,
being accountable for their choices, and let's try to make a future that is not only beneficial for the moment right now and what we need. We need heroes, and nobody's coming to save us, so we got to be our own heroes, and let's give our children, our grandchildren, something to look forward to. So that's what I want, and that's why you should subscribe, because I promise you this: you're not going to find anywhere else on YouTube that's talking about all the things I'm talking about and sharing those things so openly and freely. You're just not. You're not going to find so much detail and variety all in one place, and you're not going to find a place where you're going to be so welcomed either and accepted. Like your spirit family as soon as you come in, man. Soul tribe, bro. So I think that
now look,
people,
shut the fuck up,
would really
John.
be surprised.
All right, I mean, you've sold it enough. They win. But listen,
Cool.
I watched this
Yeah,
prick.
I tried.
I watched this prick from day one, and I thought he sucked. And he did. In the beginning, this guy sucked, man. He sucked. And I was like, oh my God, Jesus, this guy's a sucker and he's a prick. But listen, you gotta give everyone a chance, right? And then look, I look back and he had 4,000 subscribers, and I was like, holy shit, he's doing some good shit. And then he's talking about some good things. And boom, 10,004 subscribers, and he's talking about real shit. And this is the way it progresses. You start with your own paradigm, right? And then you go find the winners and losers, and you start to figure your clique, and then you start to figure out where it's coming from. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy shit. And then your head pops out of your buttocks, and you're like, oh my God, the controllers are in control, and I've figured it out. Because it takes a while, and this guy's young. He's you're 35, yo. And that's what the beginning of my search. And this guy has already got it. So can you imagine? I'm going to be dead in a decade. This guy's going to be taking up my hood sheets, or whatever you call them, hoodwinks. And we need to get more people on the best damn podcast ever. The best damn podcast right there on YouTube. You can't even miss it. If you put the best damn podcast into Google, guess what you get? You get the YouTube channel. Do it now. And while you do a dab, you can watch all of the last 2 years of his interviews, which talk about Christ consciousness and all kind of other crazy shit. And in the meantime, let me just get to the point. John is a real human. So while he may have a show and a persona just like Diamond does. And you think that you know him and me. You've never met us until you meet us and shake our hand and whatever. But we will continue to evolve like humans through our process as we assess the reality of the situation, because we are truthers. And that doesn't mean we're Republican assholes that think that women should be pregnant and blah, blah, blah. That means that we're conservatives and that we believe in science fact. And that because you think that abortion is legal, that means you should murder children is okay. It's fine with me and John, but that's not what we believe in. We believe in the fact that the human life is important, that the soul is eternal, and that you and I are going to live on forever, and that the powers that be have hidden this from us, and that we are all gods. We have all the potential to change the rest of your lives and your worlds, and it's based on your own humanity, your own DNA, and they do not want you to know this. So I want to thank John for coming on the show. I want to give you just give us a parting words for a minute. You're going to be back, trust me, and we're going to talk about multiple topics going forward, and we're going to be on your show as well, I hope.
As soon as you get back from what you're doing, we'll get set up for a nice visit, and
top secret
set up to come on my channel and me on. Yes, it's gonna be awesome. Just kind of my parting words is, guys, if you want to see something different and you really want to challenge yourself too, and challenge this whole fucking place, this whole paradigm. And really use this, man, and this. Come to the Best Damn Podcast and show us love, because we need you, right? We need you. None of this works without you guys. And that's basically all I got to say, man. I want them to come by the channel, and I want them to see for themselves. I'm never going to try to convince you of anything. You have the ability yourself. You can see the truth yourself. It's written on your heart, right? Like, I've never
heard of a podcaster that had the balls to say, make your own decision, bro. And that is kudos to you. So what is John is kicking down here is come check out his channel, because you will not be disappointed. And I will agree, because look in his eyes. The truth matters. Dogma is bullshit. If you can't feel it, it doesn't exist. And if you feel it, whatever you say is real. And if it's a different opinion than you have, well, then deal with it, because we're all human. You know what I mean? But the most important thing, I want everyone to know is that you and I are on the same page. Times are changing. The narrative is a lie. And that we need to get together, because if we're not in the community, it's not going to happen.
That's right. No, that's right. There's a major strength in numbers right now, guys. No more lone wolf shit, right? We've all done that enough. We've all been isolated enough. It's time to come together. It's time to plant our flag. Put aside our differences and, stand up for what's right and what's true.
Yeah, if you're not a prick, stand up for what's right. If you're a snowflake, keep watching and stay silent. But we need an army of people to stand up. And if you care, check out John. Man, he's awesome. The Best Damn Podcast ever on YouTube. Do it now. Do a dab. And we'll see you soon. Hey, thanks to all of our one-time donors, all of our Patreons, and John has a Patreon, which we will share with you on our next podcast. But if you're so adept, you can find it now. Do a dab. Do it now. John, we love you. Be safe.
Love you, bro. Thank you.